I know confirmation from you?
Sir,
Please
yes, sir. I
record
have
the session.
started recording, sir.
Okay,
Yeah,
sir.
I've started recording. Thank you,
Go
sir.
ahead, sir.
Okay. So, very good morning, all, and welcome to the next session on Introduction to Python Programming. And today we are going to see uh, certain things which are very much related to the first module, which is called Essentials of Python Programming. Hope my PPT is visible.
Yeah, it's
Is
visible,
my
sir.
PPT visible?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
visible.
Okay. Okay, fine. So, very simple. As per whatever is there, after this, I'll show you my whatever clarifications you have. I'll be sorting out that first thing. Second thing is that I'll be practically showing you of what to be done with regarding to practical concepts also. So, the first module of our course is going to be called the Essentials of Python Programming. And what we are going to do is today's class.
Somebody is speaking something. Please don't interrupt like this, please.
Okay. Okay, so I have muted all for currently. So maybe you can type in the chat box. Right. Okay, so you will be having here today's class. We'll have four things which are to be discussed. First thing is that what is the need for programming, and programming languages. What are the commercial programming languages which are there? What is the history of Python and how to install Python? This is the four things which we are going to do today's class. And what is the objective of this is that to ensure that these basic topics are going to give you a basic idea about what is programming, how we are going to take it out. Right. So I want it to be more of a chat-based session so that it is more easy for us to give it. Uh, Okay. First thing, what is the need for programming? We are going to see. Okay, so what according to you is programming? Why do we need a programming concept? That is the first thing you have to understand because we are learning Python programming. That what are we going to do with it? Why is the programming having so much of buzz? And why is it important for us to go with by programming language, learning programming language as a student of MBA in data science? So what is the purpose? What is your thing? You can type in the chat box. Why you think is programming needed according to you? You can just chat into the type box thing. It will be easy for me to uh, give you the necessary details.
The chat box is not showing, sir.
Chat box going on. Just a sec.
Yeah, same.
Sharing meeting. So don't worry about it because once this week we are sorting it, every week it will be the same thing. So it will be easy for us to uh, sort it out in the next. Okay, I think, yeah, people have started static here.
Hello.
Yes, that's a thing. That's
Anybody facing issue with the chats? I'm getting an error. Having trouble loading your messages. Is it same for anyone?
but some people are able to do it. Okay. So here, some people are given it things that it is easy for third. Okay. Programming set of instructions which computer understands to execute and get the task. Okay. So this is one thing she have done. Then make the work for human easier.
Sir, your voice is
Okay,
not
and don't
clarity,
make
sir. Sir, your voice is not clarity.
voice is not. Okay. Okay. Microphones, I think. Okay. So now I think I have turned off our video and also I have changed my uh, device this thing also. Fine. I think if there's any problem, you can chat it out. I have a separate screen wherein I can see your comments also, so it is easy for me to go ahead. Okay. So now, what is the need for programming is that people have said that we to make our work easy. Yes. What we are going to do that need for programming is that making the system do replace humans. So whatever we are going to do manually, we are going to give some standards and train the computer to execute our task so that yes, to make the work easy. What is the difference between humans and a computer? What are we good at? What is computer good at? I want that also before we start. What is the difference between humans and a computer? What are we good at? What is computer good at?
Okay.
Computer is good at fast calculation. Exactly. We are good at fast. The computer is good at fast calculation. If I have to have a four-digit number multiplied by another four-digit number, the computer will be able to do it in seconds. Wherein we need some time for us to do it. Right. So mathematical computation wise, the computer is quite fast, but wherein we need more time. So this will save a lot of time. Second thing, uh, processing big. Okay, humans are error prone and computers are not. Humans are error prone. Sometimes, okay, we may be sometimes in a different mindset. We may be sometimes no, we will be changing fluctuations may be there in the human thinking process. But a computer will be it's a robot or a machine, right? So obviously, it is going to be always the same. It doesn't have emotions. It doesn't have things. Okay, so this is computational thinking is very high in a computer programming, but for a human computers can perform repetitive tasks where human intervention is not really required most of the time. Yes, humans, we have decisions, they have don't. Exactly, we don't have very good point. But humans also have one thing which is advantages over the computers. What is that which is there is that which we are trying to solve it now currently using AI and other things, which is called as logical thinking. If I have two bottles of two glasses and one glass, I'm going to fill it with milk and I'm going to fill the other bottle with the phenol. So now, how do you think the computer will be able to differentiate both of them? It is difficult for the computer because both looks the same, both look almost the texture of that is same. So it may be thinking or it takes more of a time for the computer to understand whether it is the logical emotions and the logical thinking is what which differs as from the computer, right? Any mathematical computation, any data we are giving it, it will give it is a blind machine which will follow our instruction and do the task, right? So now we have a set of instructions which we are giving, and for that instructions, what we are going to do, get the output. What is the output we are to do? We are going to make the computer do some calculations. So we are going to give the instructions. First thing, first point to be noted is we are going to give to the computer the instructions. Second thing, it is going to get that instructions, process it or calculate it, whatever is there we are doing, we are asked it to do, it will do it blindly and it will give the output. So three parts: input, computation, and output. The three things are going to be done by the process. So this is called programming. So first set inputs, second thing is computation, third thing is output. So these three things have to be taken into programming as a consideration, right? So as things, I have summarized certain points which are here. Computer, if you are doing the work, it is going to make it more easier. It is automatic. Automated is like automatically the computer will execute the task again and again. It is error free. Sometimes if you are giving the correct input, it is going to give you the correct output, error free. And if it is made more friendly, for example, I may not be able to speak in multiple languages, but the computer can be tuned to address to multiple language based customers, right? So consumer friendly and it has faster execution. So the main reason of programming is only thing, make human life easier. Sometimes programming and artificial intelligence and data science, to be frank, it is not only advantages, but more sometimes disadvantages also. For example, uh, I think most of you would have seen this thing. Now I can automate any process automatically. For example, I think recent times I think in TikTok or in Reels you would have seen this thing. Uh, our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi's voice has been taken and it has been automated or AI has been used to make him sing songs from the Bollywood industry, right? Have you seen that? This is all making the work more advanced and thing. What is the done is that it has taken his voice, that is the input. Okay, it has processed it using this computational code which we are given, like the logic which we are given, and it is giving the output which is more perfect. If I have to make the same thing for a human prone, it is very difficult, right? So anything which we are taking it out, it is going to be done. It can be used for the productive cause also. It can replace humans also. So all of this are possible, right? So now I told you this thing. Now coming to this, we have three sets here. As I told you, what is input, processing, and storage, and output. So what is the input we will be giving to the system generally? If I have to say, uh, we are going to give any input to the system, we can give it with a keyboard currently, mouse, touch, using a joysticks also. Now we are able to give an input, or the VR controller also we are going to give an input to the system. So I can type anything. For example, what is your name? I can type my name using the keyboard. That is an input. Now mouse, I can press a key. For example, maybe you get an IVR. You say press 5 to call the customer care or talk with the customer care. That is the input. Or it can be through a game. I can have a touch base using a mobile phone or a joystick. We can do it. This is going to be the input. So this is the first part what we have to do. So this input, processing and storage, output is the entire format I'll be following throughout the course because this is, if you are knowing this logic, you will be able to code any language possible, right? And what is going to be the output? I'll come to the processing and storage after this. Output, we have either the screen, computer screen or the TV screen will be able to see the output, or we can use a printer for printing the reports or the output. For example, I use the inputs as you go to a supermarket, they scan all the inputs using a scanner or something, right? And it is going to process that value and it is going to give the output. So you'll get a printed bill, or you may get an audio output, or you may get through the speaker an automated message which is coming out of the thing. So all of this are going to be based on our inputs, which are very important from the customer, right? And what are the inputs? What are the outputs? How do we compute that? That is what we are going to learn in this course, right? And processing and storage is where, which happens without our knowledge. It happens inside the computer or within the software, right? So we have a central processing unit, or it can be the server, or it can be it can happen anywhere within the system. It's going to compute whatever is the input we are given. It is going to think about it basing the formulas and logic we are applied. It is going to calculate the required result, and it is going to give us the outputs. And whatever input we are giving to the system, it is either going to be stored in a hard disk or into a SSD, okay, or solid state drive, or it's going to store in the cloud, or it's going to store in a server, so that we can use it later. We need not give the input again and again every time, but automatically we'll be saving it into the storage device. Okay, so this is the basic flow. If you're able to understand this input, processing, and storage, and output, this is the entire format I'll be following throughout the course for this thing. So throughout the course for this Python programming course. So input is going to be, what is the data set? Okay, for data set students, what is the data input? What is going to be your data input basically? We are going to use a data set as the input, correct? We will be giving data inputs. Maybe like I'll be giving some data input. Yes, exactly. Each has told it. It's a data set which is going to be the input. And what is going to be the output? What is going to be the output? We are going to give the input as data set. Okay. We will be using that as the input.
Hello.
What will be the output for? Yes. Yeah, we'll be predicting the output, correct? Or the reports or the trends, or we'll be getting the required results, okay, our suggestions. That is going to be the output. For this, we are supposed to give a instruction to the computer on what is to be done with the input, correct? So we are going to give some input, right? So what is to be done with the input? We are going to decide that. And how are we going to decide that? Is using the Python libraries and packages. We are going to give into different functionalities and then get the required output, right? So this is going to be the entire flow of operation. So now the programmers will have, for this, making this input and giving the required output, we have certain things in our purview. We have one thing which is called as an editor. What is this editor? Is basically there where we can type the program. So we are going to have some tools which are given to us to make our work easy and for this entire process to happen. First thing is called an editor, wherein I can type the code. So I can type the program in an editor. I have a compiler and interpreter which is going to convert, because we speak English, we type it in English, and the computer targets into a language called machine language, right? So what we do is this compiler and interpreter. What is that compiler and interpreter? What is the difference? I'll come in the next slide. We are going to convert this from our code to their language. It is going to translate it, kind of translator. Okay. Then we have a debugger, which is like if we make some mistake, where's the mistake? That is also the computer will be able to locate it and give us the inputs. This part is more important, because most of the times we say that, sir, I have an error. My program not getting the required output. So what is the place where we have to look at this debugger? Okay, so what is this particular thing will do is that it will say this line has a particular error which is there. It can be different types of errors are there, which will come to that, but that will be sorted here. Next thing is called profiler, which will collect data statistics about what is the overall performance, what is the type of execution, how much of time we have taken. All statistics will be given by profilers. So mostly we will be dealing with editor, compilers and interpreters, and debuggers. Profilers is basically for statistical info. So first thing, I'll type the code here. I will compile or interpret it, and the debugger will give me the errors, or it will give me the required output. Okay, any doubt in this thing? What is the editor, compiler, interpreter, and this thing? Okay, okay, I'll repeat that. Editor is basically the place wherein we are going to type the code and save it to file. Okay, so I want to give the computer some inputs, right? So, and the code, how to compute it. So I'll be typing the program in an editor. Okay, and this compile and interpreter is the background process which will happen, wherein whatever code which we are typed, which is there in our language, which is English, no, we'll write with Python. So we'll write print something. So this is going to be our language. So it is going to be converted to a language which the computer understands, which is called machine language, which will be done by this compiler and interpreter, right? And if there's any programming error, that will be taken by debugger. I'll show you this thing once I finish this. I'll show you a slide. I'll show you practically on what is this editor, compiler, debugger on this. And profiler is that it is going to give you some statistics about this particular operation. Whatever we have done here, how much of time has it taken? All the statistics is going to be given by profilers. Okay, so maybe I'll, if people want more clarity on this, I'll just give you uh, a demo on this immediately. Maybe like one thing, just a simple code. Okay. So I'm going to type a simple code called, this is called, maybe this is what is called, I'll come to this at the end. This is the place where we can type code. Okay, this is called Google Colab, wherein we'll be able to type the code in this particular thing. Okay, so this is called an editor. Okay, wherein we are going to type some code. Okay, so now I have typed the code wherein I'll be able to just do the type the code. Now, automatically what has happened is that when I'm going to execute it, it is going to go to the, it is going to translate this code by the editor into machine language. It is going to convert it. It's going to read whatever is there, and it is going to give to the thing. If there is no error in this program, it will give you the output. Okay, so if I'm going to give you execute this, if there is no error, it will give me an output. Okay, so see this, it has read it, and here the profiler has given me one output. What is the statistics is that it has been executed in 0 seconds. It means that this code has been there. Now I'm going to give some mistakes in this. Okay, so I'm going to make some mistake in this code. I have not given a closing. So now the debugger, this is called the debugger, wherein it is going to say that in line 1. So this is the line 1. I have an error which is called as string print high class unterminated string. So it means that it is not terminated, it's not closed. So if you are able to read the syntax error, I'll be able to know what is the error in that, so that I'll be able to rectify these problems. Okay, so this is going to be called a thing. So this is called editor, and the execution is going to be happening in the compilers and interpreters are going to translate this code and read it, and debugger is going to give us the error finding, and here you'll get the statistics about this. Okay, so here if you have, once the program is successfully edited, then you will have the output which is executed. How long does it take to execute this code? Any doubts in this still so far?
No,
Any
we
doubts?
can go ahead.
Okay, thanks. Fine. Now, yes. Okay, now I have two things which are there in this particular process. First thing is that I have something which is called as interpreter and compiler. I said two terminologies which are there, right? What is this interpreter and what is this compiler? These two things which we have to know as programmers. Okay. So first thing, what is called an interpreter basically is something which is very, very fundamental, which is there, and there's something called compiler. Both of this is going to learn or read our code and give us the required output. So once I have done with the program, I have given the code, type the code. The computer has to understand that, right? So, and then only it will be able to process that, correct? For that, we use both of this interpreter and compiler. Okay, so compiler, what happens in compiler is that take an instance of uh, a game. Okay, so I have a game which is installed in my computer. This computer, if I'm going to type the like it is going to be a 5 GB, for example. It's a very big game which is there, which I have installed in this. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to okay, sure. I'm going to execute this 5 GB of data. So what happens is that the compiler, how does this, if I'm going to use a compiler for executing the code, what it does is that it will take all the 5 GB of data, it will read all the 5 GB of data, and it will check if there is any error, and only if it is correct, it will run the program. So if it takes to take 5 GB of data every time full game has loaded and it is processed, and after that it is executed, then what happens is that it is very difficult for us to wait for that time, because the computer will check for any one error there. It will go through the 5 GB of data, then it will process it. So even there's a one error, we have to sort it out. Then again the 5 GB of data will be again read and interpret. This is called compile. Okay, a compiler will read the entire code. If it is having any error, it will give it. Even C, C++, all these languages use the compiler. Okay, what this does is that we will check the entire code. We will see if there is any error in that particular thing. It will stop it there. So what happens is that it is a lengthy process, but after that, but it is less prone to errors, because only when all the lines are read and if it is correct, only then it is going to be there. So initial processing time is very high for this particular thing. But interpreter is something which is very much different, because it goes line by line and gives the output. So if I'm typing the first line and if it is correct, it will show that in the output. Second line, if there's an error, it will immediately stop it. So Python uses an interpreter. So it is very easy for us to spot the errors, because it's a high level language. And what happens in the interpreter is that we use line by line instructions will be delivered in the output. So game, first part of the game is loaded. You will play the game. After that, it will load the second part of the game. Or first part of the code will be typing it. It will give you the output. After that, it will go to the second part of the output. So it is very faster and easier. So now I'm going to do this. See this print. I'm going to just use print for a thing. Now by now you'll know that what is for typing a line. It is going to be okay. So now I have two lines. So first it has to read my line one, and second line I'm making the same mistake now again. See this here, it says me that because it's typed in the same cell, okay, it is going to give it. So now I'm going to give it line by line. So I'm going to add one more code block here. Okay, so I'm giving two lines of code here. See this. Okay, so in this program, what I'm going to do is I'm going to type the first line, or I'm going to run all. See this, run all. First line has been executed. High class has been executed. But second line, I have an error. It is giving me a problem. What is that? Is unterminated string literal. It means that we are not closed it. Right. So now we have learned high class welcome. So line by line, it will be able to execute this. And if you see that the line number, we'll have the execution number there in the left. And all this profiler will give you the statistics. So I think I've given you a basic about what we are using it in Python. We are using a compiler or an interpreter now. What are we using it? We are using a interpreter for our process, right? So this is the second way. Now, how are we going to use an execution, right? So this is going to be called something which is how are we going to execute the program? Okay. So once I have to give the instructions to the computer, there will be 4 types of execution which can happen in a computer program, right? I want to give an order of execution. For example, once I get into the class, I will have to follow a step-by-step instruction. For example, when a customer comes to you, comes to a supermarket, first thing they will do is they will have a step-by-step process. For example, first they'll ask the customer name. What is the name of the customer? Then they'll ask you. Second step is that we'll go with the mobile number of the customer. Okay, done. Third thing is that we will scan and build the products. So all the products which are there will be scanned, and that bill that intent will be generated. Fourth step, he will be paying the cash or he will be doing an online transaction. That's step 4. And 5, bill will be printed, which is the output stage. Okay, so now what is happening here is that we have a step-by-step process. This is called as sequential execution, right? Sequential execution is when we have a step-by-step order in which it happens. Now we have some second step which is called conditional execution. Sometimes we have this when I ask him what is your name. Okay, sometimes I may know that the customer is a new customer or an existing customer. Okay, I have 2 conditions. Okay, it's a new customer or an existing customer. Then I'll use conditional execution, because for the regular customer who is there, he may have points which is added to his credentials, right? That time we have to process it separately. For a new customer, I have to process it separately. For example, taking a medical hospital application, right? I'm going to get the patient's name and his contact number. If he is already an existing patient, he may have his previous history which is already there in the system, correct? For that, I should execute it separately. For a new customer, a new patient, I should execute it separately. So based on the conditions, I will execute it. This is called conditional execution. Now, what is repeated execution, right? Repeated execution is that the same process is going to be repeated again and again and again and again till we are going to say stop to the system, or till we are going to get the required number of items which are there. For example, the same example of billing process in a supermarket, right? I said it's a sequential process, but in that also you have a repeated process there, which is called scanning and adding that product to the thing. So he'll get the name and the phone number. That is a process which is sequential. After that, the third sequence is that he's going to scan the items and make the intent or the bill, right? So what happens is that he has 10 products. So what happens? He will scan the product again and again and again till all the 10 products are added to the computer, correct? So this is called repeated execution. Till we are till we are getting the required process done, we will be repeating the same step again and again. So that is called repeated execution. And reusability. Reusability is when we need to process the same code again and again till we get whenever we are needing it. For example, the same code for getting the customer, getting the phone number, and doing the bill. The same code is repeated for not one customer, for many customers who are coming through the same day, right? So the code is reused again and again. Only thing is that we will be see this. I am patient number 1, for example. Patient number 2 will be having the same process, which is that customer number 1 will have the same process. Customer number 2 will have the same process. 3 will have the same process. 4 will also have the same process. But for that, we need not type the code 4 times. We are going to write the code only once, and the same code is going to be repeated again and again. So these are the four types of execution in any programming we'll be using it generally. So either we'll be going step by step, first step sequence. In some things we will have choices. For example, what is the I want you to go over this. What is the process of going to a restaurant? What happens? What is the first step? You're going to a restaurant as a customer. So what is the first step?
Check the menu.
Seeing the menu? Okay. Okay,
Yes.
I'll be the uh, server for you today. So I'll be the person who is going to serve you today. So first thing when when you come in, I'll ask you, sir, how many people are there with you? Correct? Sometimes number of customers will be there with me. Like I'll ask you, okay, 4 people are there or 2 people are there. So based on that, I can ask you to make you sit in a 4-seater table or a 2-seater table. So what type of execution is that? If I'm going to make you sit in a 2-seater or conditional
It could be a
execution, because I
conditional
have a condition
execution.
whether exactly the entire operation is a sequential execution, because I first step is that I'm asking you to
Yes, sir.
say how many people are there. It is a conditional execution. So if you're going to sit in that, it is there. Okay, then I give you the menu. Correct? A menu will be given to you. So you will be choosing that from the menu. So what I'll be doing is I have a notepad wherein I'll be noting down all the things. So that I'll be entering what are the things which will be inputted will be like there. So I have my menu. I have 3 things. I have chicken biryani. I have mutton biryani. I have veg biryani. I have paneer biryani. So 4 items I have given to you. So now what will be the input which you'll say? What is the type of execution which is going to be there?
It could be a sequential execution.
Conditional execution, because I have given you 4 conditions. I have given you 4 conditions, right? 4 choices to choose from. You'll be choosing that any one of that. And also you'll be saying sometimes, for example, I may say I want veg biryani. I want 2 numbers. So there is again going to be another input which is going to be there, right? So what I'll do is that I'll get this inputs from you. Then I'll be passing out to the computer or the place wherein we are going to serve you. It is going to be called the operational unit or central processing unit, which is called the kitchen here. And they will be preparing the food and it will be coming to your table. Okay, so this is a process in which I have to do it step by step. I have to go with the process, right? After that, I will go with the execution. I will go give you the bill. Okay, then I'll ask you for a conditional execution. What is that? Is that, sir, how are you going to pay the bill? Are you going to pay through UPI or credit card, or are you going to pay through cash? So you can choose again that operation. So now this is going to be again a condition which is there. Then again, you are paying the bill, and I'm going to say thank you, sir. And it was a pleasure hosting you. And I'll go to the next customer. That is called a repeated execution. Till the end of the day, till the end of my shift, I'll be doing the same thing again and again. Okay. Now, also in between, first you order veg biryani, right? Again, I have say that you are eating it. Suddenly, I come to you, sir. Do you want anything more? Okay. Then you say, yeah, bring me one more veg biryani. So that is again going to be a repeated execution, right? Which is going to till you are satisfied with your food. I'm going to do the same thing again and again, which is called repeated execution. And now the same process is going to be reusable to the next customer also, because I'm going to use the same thing again and again. Got this concept, all of you? Right? So next thing is that what are the errors we make? What are the errors we make in a program? Generally, we make 3 types of mistakes. First thing is that I may type the code wrongly. That is correct. Okay. That is the called syntax error. So I may make in my code some execution mistake that will be given to me by the process here itself. For example, I missed out a closing bracket. It is going to be sorted out before the code is done. See this here. This is called a syntax error. Okay. But if I'm going to make the second type of mistake, which is called a logical error, it means the mistake which is done in the computation. For example, I say your rate of chicken biryani is 200 rupees, but I have entered that to 250 rupees. It is a logical error, so that the customer may be affected by it, right? So whatever is the computational problem which are GST calculation, I made a mistake in the code, then it is going to give you a wrong output, right? So this is called logical error. And the third part is called semantic error, which means that I am going to give a long grammar to the customer. Okay. So for example, I may get thing. For example, if I'm going to put here number. Okay, so number, if I'm given here as an example, will you be able to know something which is like what number is this? Is it a mobile number or is it a table number or item number in that particular menu? We will not be able to. So this is called grammar mistake, because sometimes I may give here my mobile number. Some person may say, okay, this is like my door number. Okay, so everybody can give. I think this is called as semantical error, which is like errors which are given in the grammar of that particular thing which you are entering. So these are the types of errors which we may occur in the code. Now, programming languages, when you are conducting the earlier, there was something which is called low-level programming languages, which are going to be something which is done as the basic of things. We have two levels of programming language. One is called low-level and high-level programming languages. Low-level are programming languages which are going to create the basic ecosystem for this. So, for example, if your OS is there, or your browsers are there, or if your whatever your software is working, for creating that software or the basic things, generally we use C or C++, the low-level languages which are there. But high-level language like Python, what we are going to use, we are going to use it for user interaction. We can create games with that. We can process data sets with that. So it is going to something which is going to be more useful for customer-friendly approach. So there are so many languages which are currently available. We have popular languages including C, C++, C#, Java, Python, Dart, which is there, JavaScript, PHP. I've given you a big list. These are all languages which are currently very functional and very popular. I would like to give you a statistics. Okay, so I've given you that in the form of their logos, official logos, so that it will be easy for you. There are two statistics which are there, which I wanted to show you for your reference. Because all the reference, whatever basics which are there, are the same things which are there in the notes. Again, I wanted to give not much focus on that, but give you more practical input. That is what is the objective of this session. So I'm skipping out certain theoretical things which you can again and again you heard of this so many times. So here are two statistics. One is by TOB and other thing is by Python or PyPL. So what happens is that both the statistics are recent ones, and what is this particular statistic says is that top three, if you are taking it, I'm going to have here Java, C, Python, and Java is the most popular, is what this index says. And here it comes to the second position for 19.03. And here Python is 9.7, it's third ranking. And by PyPL, it says that Python is 29.72. From this, what I can infer basically is that Java and Python are mostly the thing. Okay. So because I will share you this PPT by the end of this class immediately. So I'll be sharing you the PPT, and also I'll be sharing you the entire notes for the whole, all the 5 units also I'll be sharing with you right after this end of this class for this class PPT, and also the entire notes. So I think your issue will be sorted out. Okay, thank you. So now, so basically these are the languages, and there are certain languages. Okay, Shift and C was missed due to pop-up. Okay. Now there are many languages like Kotlin or Swift for basically for iOS programming, JavaScript, PHP. There are so many languages. I need not learn all these languages, but if I'm able to know the way they work, for example, if I have to say maybe I love you in any language, right? I have to know in Hindi, मेरे तुमसे प्यार करता है. Okay, like that.
every language will have the same thing. You need not know मैं तुमसे प्यार करता है the entire Hindi for knowing this. I can just know English, which is I love you. In Hindi, it is मैं तुमसे प्यार करता है, and so on and so forth in other languages. Same way, I have different languages here. The same thing will be repeated in multiple languages. So Python, from the name, people do not think that it is Python, which is the snake which is coming out to the thing, but it is a programming language which is brought by a developer by name Guru van Zusum. He's a Dutch programmer, and Python being the high-level programming language, it was not done by individual by him, but it was initially designed by him. He had inspired it from a language by ABC, which is the previous languages C and other previous languages of Python. He got inspired, but whatever problems we had there, he wanted to sort it out. Like it was quite complex. The codes were quite difficult, and it was very complex to execute. So all the things he wanted to avoid, and he wanted to make it as a easier way to approach this thing. So it was developed by a foundation called Python Software Foundation. So he is the developer, and it started in 1980s, and the implementation of the Python started in 1989, wherein the first code was published in 1991, and first version Python 1 was launched in 1994. Python 2 was launched in 2000, and Python 3 was launched in 2008. So what we are currently following is Python version 3.12, which is the current version, which is there in which was released last month in 2023. Now, Python 2 and Python 3 has lot of differences, which we'll be learning through in the course of time. But currently, what we're using is Python 3, which is the current standard. And next version is going to be planned in 2024 August month. We'll have the 3.13 version. So till next year, we'll be following 3.12. So Python 3.12 is the most started out thing. Now, why the name Python? So so it is sometimes people think that it is uh, like a snake or something. No, it is not poisonous. It is not very tough like a snake. It is very flexible. It is very friendly. And these people, there are 5 people who were part of a show called Flying Circus, which was released as a comedy series by BBC. Okay, Graham Chapman, John Keyes, Terry Gilliam, Eric Idle, Terry Jones, and Michael Palin were the part of this series called Holy Flying Circus. Okay, and this people, 5 people, six people were called as Monty Pythons. These 5 people were called as 6 people were called as Monty Pythons. Okay, these people had a sketch comedy. This was very, very popular in those days. It was published in BBC. And our Gudavan Newsom, who is the developer of this thing, he was very fond addict of this particular series. So what he did is that he got the name Python from this particular thing because he was very much addicted to this series
So time
and he liked it. Yes, I'm going to get. I'm over, but this is like almost one thing is going to be there. I'm going to complete it, so don't think. So this particular series is going to be the first thing which is there. I have a video which is there, which I have put in the PPT, which I'll share with you. You can have a look at it. It is about how this particular series was made, which is there. I have given some PPT on this. Okay, and most important thing which I want you to do today, the assignment or the thing is that today I'm going to first thing is that step 1, you are going to go to a website which is called I'll type in the chat box, which is called Google Colab. Google.com. Okay, this is place. Okay, this is one website wherein I'll type this thing here. I can go here. This is the place wherein this is a free open to use editor which is given by Google. Okay, so I can click on new notebook. I'll be able to type my Python course here online. Okay, this needs just a valid net connection and you'll be able to execute the codes. other ways of how to install it. For example, using a IDE like Anaconda Navigator or using the Python system, I'll be sharing you the upcoming class. So now I want you to open this step 1 and I'm going to type the first line of my code. Generally, I gave you the example of print, but I want you to type this code called import this. Okay, this is the only line which I want you to type it. Okay, what is this line? Is basically that import this. Okay, this one is going to give you what as a programmer you are supposed to follow. Your rules and regulations of this are going to be given here in this particular slide. So once I've executed this, I will be getting the Zen of Python. This is by Tim Peeper. So here they give you as a programmer what is supposed to be done. This is not actually for your syllabus, but this is something which is what generally people didn't write. But this is what you have to know as a programmer. Beautiful is better than ugly. Explicit is better than implicit. Simple is better than complex. Complex is better than complicated. Flat is better than nested. Sparse is better than dense. Readability counts. Special cases aren't special enough to break the rules. Although practicality beats purity, errors should never pass silently. Unless explicitly silenced, in the face of ambiguity, refuse the temptation to guess. There should be one and preferably only one obvious way to do it. Although that way may not have obvious at first unless you are Dutch, now it is better than never. Although never is often better than right now, if it's implemented, it is hard to explain, it's a bad idea. If the implementation is easy to explain, it is a good idea. Namespaces are one honking great idea. Let's do more of this. So please understand this is a poem, which is kind of a thing which is giving you all the conditions or qualities to call you a Python programmer. So this is what today we have dealt. And what is the particular thing which is left over in today's class is that how to install it. I have given you how to set up Python here in the particular window itself, like Google Colab. Okay. For people who are using IDE 3.11 or yes, you can use it, Conrad. Not a problem. Thing. How to install Python? I'll give you a step by step in this update in this PPT, and I'll share you. Like for example, if I'm going to install a package, okay, how to go download Python is from the website thing, and using how to go with Anaconda distribution, I will give you this, add it up to the slide and give you. Okay, so by now to initially start off with, you can just go to collab.research.google.com and start executing your programs right away. Right? There are advantages with this. There are certain disadvantages with this. Also, in our course, we'll be also going with Anaconda IDE, which is also more flexible because we can go directly with anaconda.com, and now they have given you an online IDE. So Anaconda is a place wherein it's a Python distribution where all the libraries are already available. So I can just go to the site, anaconda.com. And here we can go with accept all. Here we can you can type the thing. See this? I can download this free download, and I can download here. Then see that there's a way where you can download it and install it from your local system. That is one way, or simply code in cloud, and you can start typing in the Anaconda cloud also. So I will code in the cloud. Even all of this. If it's not possible, out the text class as well. Okay, so see this. I'm going to type plus. Okay, I have to sign into a new account, which I'll show you in the next class how to do it. And it will have the same window like this, like how we did here. It will also have the same window, and we will be processing the same way. So Anaconda has more libraries and packages, and there's a way of once you sign in, you can load your data sets here. That is more flexible. And so we'll be using this Anaconda cloud ecosystem for our course, because for people who have low configuration of systems, if you're downloading and installing this thing, it is going to be more sometimes taking much of days. So I'll record that as a video and I'll post it if you want how to install it, and you can start executing it. Okay. Any other doubts from today's class?
Sir, why we have this
Or-
bizarre kind of names? Anaconda, Python. They love snake too much, sir.
What, sir?
Why
Okay.
we have
Python is biased. Okay, Python is not basically because of animal. It is, as I told you, it is by the developer. No, they wanted Python is something which was given by inspiration of this. But after that, it is called Anaconda. They are giving this ID, which is called a place present in and you can compile it. All the things can be done here. So for that, we are going to use it. And the notebook where editor which you are going to use basically is called Jupyter Notebook. So that is not weird names. Okay, again, it depends.
okay, okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
You can't help it anyway. But it's more friendly. Okay, this Python is not poisonous and compared to C, C++ or Java, Python is more friendly and I think. So any other questions? Stop recording. And any other questions? Okay. Yes.